Hey everybody, this is Steve 87th. So today we're going to go ahead and start getting this building to start looking the way that it's supposed to. So stand by. Oh, and by the way, I found a big oops when I started this. Okay, whoops, I forgot to show some progress on my little objects I got going on here. So let's go into the room and show what I did yesterday. So, been working on my scene here, and yesterday I was able to get a little bit more work done. So this is what's going on with the diorama. No, the roof is still not on, but I had to figure out how to place everything. So, that's what I've been working on. Come on. A little bit farther over. And then this goes up there. Okay. So this is the premise. Track is going to come here. I'm hoping that I have enough. If not, I'm going to have to bring this up even higher. All of this is actually going to get filled in. So I have to go get a piece of track so that I can put it from there to there. It will overhang because this is much like the last one that I did, which is over there. This actually goes into a module, but I didn't want to make the whole module because it's going to be too big. And you can see that this actually comes in at an angle. Uh-oh. I kind of glued this down a little bit. Let's this little move. There we go. So this will actually be on an angle on the module because this will be a straight track off of a siding. So now the next thing I have to do is get a piece of track so I can put it in there. Once I get the track on, then I will go ahead and start putting in all of the other stuff. And then once I get that done, I can put the roof on, and then all this will go in there. Okay, so that's where I'm kind of at right now. So I gotta go dig for some track. I will talk with you guys a little bit later. All right, so a little bit of work here on the track. So I'm looking at this. I was able to find a piece of track, nice little 9-inch piece of track. We're gonna take the connectors off of them. The cool thing is I'm not going to, it's nice that it's not flex track, but it is 83. So the way that this works is this track is supposed to set right here between the two ties. Let me turn this a little so we can get that in view. I gotta get this on here. Okay. So one of the bad things was I didn't have the track. I couldn't find the track last night when I was getting ready to do all of this, so I kind of did it a little bit wrong. Let me come up to you a little bit. Okay. So the way that this works is this goes into a trough, which then works onto that. And I may actually have to move the trough back now looking at that. And then this rail is supposed to be over the box. Okay, so you can see here that I did that all in the wrong spot. So I'm going to need to move all of this over some. and give it a little bit more room so that I can do everything right. Luckily, I put the glue down yesterday, so I should be able to move most of this, hopefully without destroying too much of it. Nope, I don't think I'm going to be able to do that. That's the bad thing. I didn't have everything ready with me yesterday, so now I'm paying the price for it a little bit here. All right, so like I said in the beginning of this, I did find a big oops, and here I am taking apart everything that I put down the night before. I was anxious to get this going so that I could get things moving ahead, and it cost, because had I had the track, I'd have been able to do some of the different things that I wanted to do. I could have seen how high up I needed it to go, how much clearance there was going to be, and yes, like I said, the last video that I put out was out of order, because you can see that my little brass guy is still brass over there, because I needed to do a lot of checking to see where everything was going with him. So I really didn't want to handle the paint job and deal with the paint over and over and over again. So that's why I just decided I would do this the easy way and not paint that till I got to a point where I was going to do painting. Okay, so I'm over here trying to fit up and see how high I should take the track. In hindsight, even though I was doing this, because there's a point in every project where you want to kind of get moving along and get it near completion. Had I taken a little bit more time, I could have actually got this a little bit higher. The tracks would have been a little bit higher. It would have been a lot easier for me in the end. So this is me repositioning this, checking where the tracks need to go. I want to make it such that I have a little bit of overhang on the tracks, but I don't want so much that it looks really bad. So I had to reposition this a couple of times. Once I figured out kind of where I was going to have it at, I also knew that I needed to bring the road bed up. I wasn't sure whether to put 2 sections of road bed down. They seemed to be a little bit too thick in the long run. That would have been the better way to do it. So instead, I wound up coming up with using some poster board to beef it up, which is kind of what I'm doing here. And this is just kind of like, yeah, this is good enough. It's fine. It'll be high enough. Well, it really wasn't at the end. I had to do some other adjusting, but this worked at what I was doing for the time. I think by putting the track up here and putting everything where it's at right now, I will be able to accomplish the goals that I want. So, awesome. Now this, of course, is going to be too short, isn't it? No, it's going to be longer. Oh, good. Good. Okay, so that's what I'm going to need to do. I'm going to have overhang on both sides of the track. Again, I'm not worried about that. And then I just got to build that box up some, which I think that'll be fairly easy to do. Okie doke. And that'll get me there. And then it'll give me a little bit of room to bring this up higher. A little bit higher, because it's got to be a little bit higher. And it gives me more room for where the tractor's got to set. Okay. So, there we have it. And then that's going to be the center of the track right there. Okay. All right. All right, we're going to come back and do this a little bit later. All right, so now this is me trying to do my final fit up, get everything positioned where it's supposed to be. Make sure that the track is at least high enough, and that this culvert that I have, or the box that everything drops into, is in a reasonable place. So again, like I said, I used poster board to increase the height of the track, and thinking back, I could have used some more of a shim on this one, maybe even 2 layers of poster board to get the track even a little bit higher. What happened was after I did this and I got this done, when I was doing the final install, I found out that I couldn't get my auger in between the building with the roof on top of it and the track that had been glued down underneath into this thing. So I had to make some modifications at the very, very end. So it would have been better for me to actually have had it even higher than what I did. I should have actually just measured this, but again, I was kind of anxious. This, obviously, you can see that it's been going on. I thought that this was going to be a simple build, and it's been dragging on a lot longer than I wanted it to. So, because it drug on a little bit, I got a little over anxious, and so there was probably some shortcuts that I did. This is probably one of the biggest shortcuts that I did. I wound up working with it, but I thought about it at the time. I was like, this should really be higher. But again, I just wanted to get some stuff done. So I came back with the whole poster board thing. So this is me lining up the poster board. And then luckily I already had some pieces of the cork board already cut. So I wasn't going to worry about recutting those. They were already at the right angle and I could trim those off. So then I just put the cork road bed up there. Now, of course, when I put the two stack ups, right, now the box wasn't big enough. And I didn't want to go back and redo the whole box and all that. So after I got all this done, and I kind of figured out, well, what have I got to do? Right, so I got the track lined in there just to make sure that, hey, the track is fitting. Now, I used a piece of Atlas track here because the good thing is it'll allow me to easily put in rail joiners to join up with the rest of the rail that would go on the module that this would sit in. That was done intentionally so that it would be easier, right? There's sometimes that we just have to do some things to make it easy, and this is one of those. Now, all I needed to do was take out one set of tie. I just needed to take out a single tie. Well, that proved to be a little bit difficult, and I found out that I probably should have cut it out a little bit differently, because after I cut it out, it allowed the rest of the ties to slide, and I also had some time trying to keep the track in its slots at times. So I kind of wish that I'd have cut the tie and left the little brown piece that spans underneath the rail in there. That would have actually helped keep the rest of this all solid and working better. So then I had to come in and I had to beef this up a little bit to get the height right. And you can see here that, and I didn't realize it, I don't know whether I was bent up or if the rail itself was bent up, but the rail itself proved to be a little bit of a problem in the end. I actually had to super glue it. You'll see me do that in a couple of minutes. But here I am building up the end point of the box so that it fits up to the railing, or at least up to the road bed where it's supposed to be at. And it's okay that this was a little bit higher, but then again I forgot that, oh, that's right, the rail isn't sitting on it. There was actually ties sitting on this. Now the box was made exactly right. It was the distance between the two ties, so I just had to get rid of the one tie. So that worked, but then when I put the box in, it was actually higher than the road bed. So then there was a lot of trimming and things that had to be done as well. Again, had I come up and, shim this up a little bit higher, that probably would have been the better way to do it. But again, it's a live and learn sort of thing. So I'm just putting it all together. This is what happens when you don't have instructions and you're doing a scratch build. You wind up making things up. Now, if this was a kit, somebody already would have run into all of this problem and they would have fixed it when they had the kit done. Okay, so I'm almost done on this portion of it. I've got the glue in. I've got these things all glued down. Now comes my next point. I've got some 3-4-5 blocks, but sometimes they're too heavy. And I forget what I was doing with them at the time, but I also didn't want to crush anything. So this is kind of my little thing of, I need some weights, and how do I get some weights? And I told somebody the other day a good thing that you could use, especially because he was having a problem with a roof. So I think I'm going to go look at some of those bean bags that they use for cornhole or something like that. And I think if I use some of the bean bags, those would add just enough weight, and then they're flexible enough that they can wrap around some of the things that we have got, some of the different contours and all that. So I finally found enough weight and distributed it right, because remember I had to hold down the new pieces of wood that I put in there, plus I've got 2 sections of track that I'm holding down. And now what I'm doing is I'm doing some fiddling in the background, because I wanted to make sure that my tractor and the tractor wheels aligned up with everything. So I wanted to put kind of a base in there. And I did the same thing with the auger, which that may have actually been a bad thing. I probably didn't need to do that. But so that's what I'm attempting to do while you're seeing me do all of this stuff. And then we're going to go ahead and get the thing weighted down, make sure that I've got everything where I want it to, and we will wait for this thing to dry. All right. So next thing we got to do, let it dry. Once I get this dried, then I can start coming back in and putting in my Sculptamold. So there you have it. Okay, got our timestamp going. We're going to be hearing Heath probably in the background while I do this. Yeah, so you might see some of it, you might not.
Calculating your day the same.
Okay.
What's the news?
So,
what about the guys?
Today's flurry is, just gonna grab this real quick. I have a piece of track in there. I am purposely leaving it like that. I came in and I weathered it. Got some rusty rails and all that kind of stuff. This is so I know where that's gonna sit at. And the tractor goes in there. So the whole thing is when you look at this in real life, this is all like pretty much flat. So I got to come in and do all of that and then put roads in the middle, which I've got some wheels so I can make some ruts in there. So that is what I'm going to be doing tonight on the next part of the build. So I got my Sculptamold out. I'm going to make this kind of a drier mix. And actually, so that you guys know what I'm doing, I'm going to go ahead and stop this, and I'm going to go ahead and put it on fast time. Okay, so basically I am using Sculptamold out of the bag to go ahead and put in my ground. This was one of the better ways. This is the way that I came up with for the solution. There was a few other ways, and I'm sure I could have solved it, but this is the way that I did it, and I just used a thick line of Sculptamold. Okay, so we're going to let this dry. I can put some road marks in there and see how it'd be impossible for me to try to get that done any other way. The white stuff isn't going to be too bad because there's actually a bunch of white stuff inside, so but we'll clean those up a little bit. And so I got all of that, and then we're gonna cover this up later after this dries. Because I put it on so thick, I'm gonna let it sit over here for at least 24 hours before I do anything else. So that's my next segment there. Getting closer. Roof goes on after this all gets painted. All right, everybody, it's Steve 87th back again for yet another installment. So we are going to go ahead and this has been drying for about 2 days. It's pretty hard now because it was pretty thick. So we are going to go ahead and start making this thing look different. So I'm going to go ahead and stop the video from here, and I will go ahead and put it on a time lapse so that you guys can see me do the different items and all that. And I will try to show you all the different things that I use once I get going. Okay, so here we go on our time-lapse video. Okay, so this is my base paint. I was just cleaning up the edges, making sure everything was right. That's where I had to clamp down the track to make sure that it would stay in place with some super glue. And so basically I just have a color that kind of matches the Cascade grounds out here, and use the big brush to put it in there, and then the little brush to go ahead and get some more of the details so that I have a base coat of what looks like the dirt that's out here in the Great Northwest. All right, everybody. So that is the first layer of dirt paint. So I just want to kind of, I'm using this not only to show you guys what's going on, but also so that if I can see anything that I can't see normally. See, I put road tracks in there for the tires. And some more road tracks in there. I think I did a pretty good job getting it in there. So you see what I mean by it's kind of hard for me to get in there if I had a roof on. That wasn't going to happen. Okay. All right. Looks like I did a pretty good job. So we are going to go ahead and let this dry. Oh, that was a dumb thing to do. We're going to go ahead and let this dry. And then we'll come back and start putting dirt and stuff on it. Okay? Okay, so this concludes this episode. So next time we're going to go up and do some more weathering and start to get this thing to look a lot more like this picture here. This is Steve87 saying thanks for watching. And like, subscribe, and keep watching this series. Thanks a lot, guys. I will be back soon with yet another installment.